Wargaming released brand new information about the upcoming update 1.9 57 minutes ago to be exact, and I'm here to bring all the juiciest and freshest news to you, what we can expect from the update 1.9. Seems like with this update they are going to introduce first things from the new balance, what we tested on the sandbox server. Some of those features are over here actually earlier than I expected. Some of those are not over here as expected, because as they said in one of their What's Next article, they wanted to do some more rebalancing, retuning to the ammunition changes and to some other changes. But what we can expect from update 1.9 are things like HP and ammo rack capacity increased for low tier vehicles, really welcoming, tech tree changes and collectors vehicles. And they are actually also going to answer to some of the frequently asked questions, but more about that in a second. Let's take a look at it one by one. So after the last iteration of Sandbox, we needed some time to analyze the statistics and the results of the questionnaire. We are grateful to all active players who contributed by taking part in the large-scale testing and sharing their feedback. The new balance tests have proven to be very useful, informative and great help to us in understanding how to move in the right direction. So thank you for the feedback, and they are saying it over here. So what's next? We are currently working on the following most successful solutions from the latest iteration of New Balance: HP and ammo rack capacity, tech tree changes, collectors vehicles. Judging from your feedback, the overall reaction to these features has been positive, and the results of the tests were aligned with our expectations. We aim to introduce these features in the upcoming update 1.9. Let's take a look at each feature individually. First up, the HP and ammo rack capacity increase for low-tier vehicles. During previous sandbox tests, we increased the HP pool of all vehicles. After we carefully analyzed the test results, we decided to slightly adjust the new HP values for Tier 1 to Tier 6 vehicles. Finally, this is something that I have actually been saying for 5 to 6 years already, simply for the sake of new players' experience, which was really punishing. Making a mistake, you are of course learning to game in lower tiers, making a mistake, just a one simple mistake, did send you back into the garage. None of those vehicles can take any beating. Most of the tanks are either one-shottable from some of the turp cannons, or two-shottable, or at most three-shottable. No mistakes, and because the low-tier guns are really fast-firing, you make one mistake and 3 shots are easy to get. Enemy tanks can easily get 3 shots into you. So the changes to the HP pool for low-tier vehicles will allow increased overall performance, effectiveness and survival time in low to mid-tier battles. Exactly, survival time is key over here, making them more enjoyable. A more comfortable transition to top-tier vehicles. Yes, because top tiers can actually take some beating, unless you're facing 183. A more consistent durability progression from tier to tier. Yes, once again, really welcoming. And new players to learn more from each of their battles and help them become better at the game more quickly. Exactly my point as well. Additionally, we proportionally, I think, increase the ammo rack capacity of these vehicles to compensate for the general increase in HP. So, of course, you need more ammunition to deal damage to the targets which have more HP now. So really welcoming thumbs up from me. Next up, let's take a look at the tech tree changes. The tech tree interface will become more user-friendly, simple and clear, especially for new players. After its visual update and the relocation of low-tier tanks, it will be easier for everyone to navigate and calculate their optimal research path. So this is basically the only thing why they're doing it, just to make it more simple. Well, me, honestly, I'm not super mad about that, because they're not going to remove any vehicles, you're still able to get them, but we had way too many unnecessary low-tier options. Like in some tech trees we had freaking 5 or 6 tier 2 vehicles. It literally takes you like 2 battles to go through tier 2. If you are a hardcore tier 2 fan, you still have all the vehicles available for you, and you are still able to be a hardcore tier 2 fan. Yeah, this is, in my eyes at least, for me, I do not see this being a problem. It is going to kill the variety. Some players say, of course, yes, it is going to kill some variety, but what kind of variety do you want to see in tier 2 and tier 3 or tier 1 battles anyway? So, the central branch will be clearest and simplest. This will be the branch of heavy tanks from tier. Will be transition to the medium tanks and tank destroyers. Artillery at the top and light tanks at the bottom will frame the deck 3s. Take a look for yourself. So this is the Soviet deck 3, and once again guys, one of the biggest things many players missed, in my opinion, my favorite thing about this new deck 3. Look at all those artilleries that have been relocated. Hopefully, this means a lot less battles with artilleries. Maybe even all the battles, maybe even 80% of the battles, if all the new players are playing low tiers. Look, we do not have tier 2, tier 3 and tier 4 artilleries anymore. They removed all those artilleries from every single tech 3. This is clap-worthy in my eyes. You do not have to start suffering from like tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 versus artillery already. And artillery starts from tier 5, but those artilleries once again are still available in the game. If you want to take them out, you can do that from the collection section, from the collectible vehicles section. But yeah, a lot less vehicles to choose from in tier 2, in tier 3. Tier 4 you have 3 options, tier 5 you start to have a lot more options, 5 options over here, tier 6 is 7 options or even 8 options actually, so you still have some options to choose. And another thing I really like is this tab over here. If you hover over it, it actually expands, it comes out, and over there you can see all the premium tanks. Previously they were kind of clustered together in the middle of the deck 3, so for new players, it made it a lot less understandable. So once again, same thing over here. So German Tech 3, you can see no tier, no Krille. Not Krille. Krille is over here. No, I do not remember the low tier artillery's name. Anyway, we don't have that. Bison 1, I think, was one of them. So, yep, a lot more clear. What else do we have? USA Tech 3. Artillery once again starting from tier 5. French Tech 3 and all the other Tech 3s as well. Bishop is the first artillery people usually are going to see. Unless you are an older player and you would like to release the hell from the skies on the newer players. So this is the deck 3 changes. I don't know, let me know what you think about that. It looks a lot more clean. The best thing about that is artilleries, as I said, and the second best thing is the premium vehicle removal, and for newer players maybe it is a bit more helpful. Everything is lined up. So next up, let's talk about the collector's vehicles, because some players still do not understand this topic 100%. Much of your feedback on the sandbox test concerned collectors, vehicles and related compensation. These are some of the hottest topics in the tank community, so let's talk about them in detail. We would like to emphasize one important thing once again. All 92 vehicles relocated from the deck 3, including the 4 tier 9 to tier 10 tanks mentioned below, will stay in the game. After the collector's vehicles feature is released, all collectible tanks will remain in the garage and can be obtained at any time after the update goes live. This was one of the topics people didn't understand. They at first, in the first Developer Diaries episodes episode, they mentioned up to tier 6 vehicles are going to be in the collector's tab, but they said they had some other plans for tier 7 to tier 10 vehicles, but they confirmed in the next article that all the vehicles are going to be available in the collector's tab. You are able to buy them at any time, so you do not have to rush towards all the tier 10s which are going to be removed. But if you removed from the deck 3, that is. But if you have those tanks, you are going to keep them as as they come, basically, or whatever they are going to do with them. Some vehicles are going to see some changes, some of them are not going to see some changes. Now, during the sandbox testing, we were not able to check out or test out how the collector's vehicle shop is going to look like, but seems like how to get into the shop is either you go into the deck tree and you click this button next to the nation's name, or you simply go into the store. Anyway, I think if you click this button over here, it gets you to the store, which is going to have its own special icon. You can see nations and all the collectible vehicles you can get, and yeah, that should be easy. All the prices are going to be listed for credits. You do not have to pay any code for that, luckily. So the maximum tier of collectible vehicles available to you depends on the highest tier you have researched in each nation. For example, having researched the tier 5 tank in the French deck tree, you will have access to all French collectible vehicles up to and including tier 5. Once again, this is a really good thing because let's say you are a new player, you played with your premium or with your premium tanks many times, you have a lot of credits, stuff like that, but the highest vehicle you have played with is a tier 6 vehicle, and now let's say you have like extra to 6.1 million credits. You would like to get one juicy tier 10. From tier 6 to tier 10, the gameplay difference is so huge. You do not want to be over there. If your own experience has been versus tier 6, 7 and 8 tanks, tier 10s are going to play a lot more differently. So once again, quite a neat feature over here. To purchase collectible vehicles, you only need credits. Experience won't be required, which is easier and more convenient for both newcomers and experienced players alike. Well, yeah. Experienced players actually just lost some time because we had to grind some of those vehicles out and experience kind of wasted. I still don't understand, maybe they're going to mention it, but are they going to compensate that experience somehow, what we have spent on some of the vehicles? I don't know, we'll see. Or should we be compensated in the first place? What do you think about that? The cost of purchasing and selling vehicles in credits will not differ from the current rates. So if you buy a vehicle and if you want to sell it, minus 50%. It will also be much easier to obtain elite status from non-premium vehicles, since you do not need to research the next tank in the branch. Yep, you do not need to spend like 150,000 experience to get an elite status. What elite status basically does to you is you are able to, I think, accelerate crew training, and you are able to collect some convertible experience, free experience. The stock versions of all tanks will be available, so after purchasing them, you can start upgrading tier modules, just like regular vehicles. The collectible vehicles will be no different from its previous version. Okay, it won't lose the opportunity to obtain elite status, which also will be much easier. Well, you just said that. In addition to tier 1 to tier 8 tanks, we also aim to relocate the following 4 tier 9 to tier 10 tanks. 113, D62A, AMX30B and AMX30 first prototype. Also, some vehicles will be moved to other tiers or even assigned to other classes. Finally, some brand new tanks will enter the game for the first time. Check them out. So, some of those vehicles are going to replace tier positions. So, vehicles to be moved to other tiers. Cruiser from tier 2 to tier 1, tier 3 to tier 2. Valentine AT from tier 3 to tier 4, Crusader, Covenanter, BT7, KV1S from tier 5 to tier 6 once again, A20, SU76M as well from tier 3 to tier 4. Okay, so most likely they are going to buff the vehicles accordingly or nerf the vehicles accordingly, depends on the movement. Vehicles to be assigned to other classes, 5 in total, so other class vehicles. Crusader from medium tank to light tank. This is the biggest thing over here. D54E1 from now on is going to be a heavy tank. From medium tank to a heavy tank, which makes a lot more sense if it is going to lead into D57. VK from heavy to medium tank, VKP from heavy to medium tank, and Type 97 Chiha from medium tank to light tank. Or VK actually from heavy to medium tank. But T-5041, as much as I know, it is going to receive extra penetration and some other stats are going to be tuned accordingly. Vehicles to be added to the game. So B5 is going to be a new tier 3 Soviet light tank. T6 medium is going to be an American tier 4 medium tank, and Cavalier is going to be a tier 5 British medium tank added to the game. To put it simply, it is the famous German and plays accordingly. Okay, T6 medium. Collectors' vehicles will make the branches of many nations simpler and easier to understand. At the same time, you can continue to enjoy having an extensive tank collection in your garage. In addition, we will introduce new medals for unlocking collectors' vehicles, which will allow you to expand your list of in-game achievements. How you are able to get those ribbons, I do not know exactly, but most likely you have to get every single vehicle from the nation and you are able to get it. Most likely, I don't know. So next up, let's quickly take a look at some of the frequently asked questions. So what will happen to the vehicles that will be relocated from the directory? Will they stay in the game? Yes, they are going to stay in the game. Just long answers if you want to read them yourself. How can I get a collectible vehicle? Collectors' vehicles in each nation will be available for purchase in accordance with the maximum tier. So if you have a tier 2 or if you have the Tiger 2, you are able to get the Jack Panther 2 and all the vehicles below. What is the main difference between collectors' vehicles and regular researchable vehicles? Do I need to retrain crews to reassign them to collectors' vehicles? As far as I know, yes. The main difference is in how they are obtained. You do not need experience, you just need credits, but all other game aspects, economics, retraining of crews, and so on, regular and collectible vehicles are identical, so you need a special crew for all the collectible vehicles as well. You do not, or you cannot use it as premium tanks. You do not have that non-penalty from moving crew members into that one. Where can I purchase? In a separate section of the in-game shop. You can access it from the directory or by selecting Collectors Vehicles tab in the in-game shop. Okay. What will happen to the Technical Engineer and Tank Expert achievements? The Technical Engineer by Nation and Senior Technical Engineer achievements are applicable only to regular researchable vehicles. Okay, so you do not have to chase those collectible tanks if you do not have them, if you do not have those medals or achievements. To get the Tank Expert achievement, it's still necessary to destroy all the tanks from each nation's tech tree, including collectible ones. Okay, so there is the difference. We also aim to add a new achievement for owning all the collector's vehicles in the game and 11 special achievements from owning all the collector vehicles of a specific nation. Okay, so this answer to that question I just made up before. How much will collector's vehicles cost? The cost of purchasing and selling them will remain the same as their regular researchable versions. Will collector's vehicles ever be rebalanced? Are further performance revisions expected? Collector's vehicles are just as important to us as regular ones, so the same rebalance rules will apply to them. How will collector's vehicles be equipped? Collector's vehicles will be relocated along with all their modules, and you will be able to choose which module should be mounted on the tank. For example, the German Jumbo, you can choose between 76mm gun and a gun that fires high explosive shells. Okay, this is something that they retuned, or I don't know how to say it correctly, like balanced or revised, because previously on the sandbox server the Sherman Jumbo only had the 76mm gun option, so seems like they listened to the community's feedback, because many players wanted to play Sherman Jumbo with the stock turret and with the high explosive turb cannon. Next up, collector's vehicles relocating mechanics. If a vehicle up to and including tier 8 has been relocated to the collector's vehicles tab, then the vehicle of the next tier +1 and all tanks of the lower tiers will be automatically researched. This applies regardless of whether you purchased it or not. All blueprint fragments of the unrecharged vehicles will be converted into the equivalent number of universal and national ones, according to each vehicle's tier. For example, a blueprint on a tier 4 vehicle will be compensated with 1 national and 4 universal blueprint fragments. If you already have recharged the relocated tier 9 to tier 10 vehicles, 113, D60J, AMX30B, AMX30 first prototype, you can purchase them in the collector's vehicles tab any time after update 1.9 goes live, regardless of whether you have recharged any other tier 9 to tier 10 tanks. Example, if you have only recharged 2 tier 9 to tier 10 tanks in the French nation, the AMX30 first prototype and the AMX30B, after the update is released, you can purchase them at any time in the collector's vehicles tab, even if you have recharged a maximum of tier 8 vehicles in the French branch. Okay. All players who were approaching to 3 tier 10 vehicles, 113 AMX30B, D60J, but hadn't recharged them and stopped at the tier 9 vehicles, T111, AMX30 first prototype, D54, and also hadn't recharged any tier 10 vehicles, will gain access to tier 10 tanks of these nations in the collector's vehicles tab after the update goes live. All players who were approaching to tier 9 tanks, AMX30 first prototype, but hadn't recharged it and stopped at the tier 8, Badger 12T, and also hadn't recharged any tier 9 vehicles, will gain access to tier 9 tanks plus 1 tier of the French nation in the collector's vehicles tab after the update goes live. Okay. The compensation rules will come into force the day update 1.9 hits the live servers. The above types of compensation may not be available during the common tests of update 1.9. We will inform you in advance of tier availability as soon as we get all the details. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully this answered to all of our questions. Let me know what you think about that. Do you want to see that? Do you want to see deck 3 changes? Well, it is, at the moment, it is no longer a question, would you like to see that? Because it is definitely going to happen. But just let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Share me your thoughts, your feedback. Please too. This is the first news we have about the update 1.9. I try to be as quick as possible because I know how much you hate reading. Hopefully you appreciate that. If you do, hit that like button. If you don't, hit that dislike button and subscribe together with notification bell, of course, ladies and gentlemen, because then you are actually going to be notified on your YouTube feed when I upload another video. Stay awesome, sexy people, take care, and bye.